Hello firearms friends, you all love big bore firearms, and here at Rock Island, we're here to give the people what they want. And to that end, we have 4 monster big bore guns coming up in our February 21st through 23rd Sport & Collector Firearms Auction, where we will sell 4,100 guns in just 3 days. It's the best gun show you've never been to. If you haven't been, come to the facility in Bedford, Texas, check it out for yourself, or you can head to the website right now and look at all the guns, not just the monsters that we have. I wanna cover these in smallest to largest, but it's gonna be in bore diameter. And it's kind of funny that we're gonna start off with a 14.5 millimeter round. That's the 14.5 JDJ. It's in this monster in the back here, made by McMillan Brothers. It should look pretty familiar. If you think, hey, this looks a little bit like the 950 JDJ Fat Mac, you would not be mistaken. A giant muzzle brake, huge barrel, giant barreled action, although the 950 JDJ, it was a solid. You were only taking the bolt out of the back and loading it. This one does have a port over here, just in front of that large, really heavily fluted bolt. When it fires, when I say 14.5 JDJ, this is the bullet. This is the slug that we're talking about. This is a solid brass cast. There's a whole bunch of them that come with this gun, thankfully. Absolute monster. Now 14.5 JDJ is, of course, again, another brainchild of Mr. J.D. Jones, who's responsible for the 950 JDJ, as we mentioned, who's responsible for the Whisper line of cartridges, which give birth to things like 300 Blackout that are really popular today. So, and a number of other things. Mr. Jones is really important in the world of sort of modern wildcatting, and especially some of these giant rifle rounds that are really popular today. 14.5 JDJ, well, what's that mean? Well, this is a 1,173 grain projectile. It's traveling at about 2,700 feet per second, generating about just under 19,000 foot-pounds of force. What's that mean? Well, your regular, 180 grain core-locked 30-06, pretty standard round. Also traveling at 2,700 feet per second, but it's only generating 2,900 foot-pounds of force. 19,000, 2,900. And again, this is just the projectile, not the full cartridge, not the full brass round. So gives you some context as to just how much power this thing is packing. And remember, by diameter, that's 14.5, so 57 caliber. So smallest diameter gun that we're gonna talk about today is throwing 19,000 foot-pounds of force. We're gonna have some fun today, guys. Stick with us. Next on the table, change of pace from everything else. The only sort of non-bolt gun that we're gonna talk about today is this beautiful double gun from Verny Caron. They're a French manufacturer out of Saint-Étienne, naturally. Like a lot of French manufacturing, fine guns, shotguns and double guns that we have sold from them in the past. This one is 600 Nitro Express. One of the more powerful, sort of popular, mainstream accepted big bore stopping cartridges in the world today. And yet it is the least amount of muzzle energy that we are gonna show you in this video. 600 Nitro Express, by the way, I believe it's throwing around 8,000 foot-pounds of force. So absolute monster. This is for the biggest game in the world. And Verny Caron is a really good value for something like a 600 Nitro Express. We're talking an estimate of $6,000 to $9,000 for this gun, and the features on it are absolutely incredible. Wonderful scroll engraving all over the receiver. You have a Cape Buffalo engraved here on the underside. The trigger guard is even engraved, the cap is engraved, the extended tangs are engraved, and these sort of extended fences and along the back of the receiver here sort of mimic the boss of a Cape Buffalo, which is engraved on the bottom. Finely checkered, beautiful piece of wood. 3 leaf sights with the gold line inlaid. Just a wonderful value and a lot of power. If you're looking to get into big bore stopping rifles, 6,000 to 9,000, in my mind, is a low price for this, and frankly, in the world of stopping rifles, is an extremely low price when you compare it to some of the top names in the field like Rigby. You would have no problems with this. Smooth, comes together, sounds the way it should. Absolutely fantastic value for a stopping rifle in the Sport & Collector Firearms Auction. The other 600 caliber gun on the table is the one right behind it. We have a CZ550. This also in 600, but in 600 Overkill, very appropriately titled round for this video. CZ550's a fantastic entry-level way to get into a lot of these serious big game calibers. Again, that we talk about with, Rigby or things like that. You don't have to spend the moon to get some of these big bore cartridges, big stopping rounds. 600 Overkill is definitely one of those. It was designed in 2000, so it's a relatively modern round by Robert Garnick out of Las Vegas. And it was designed for two reasons. One, it was designed to be the largest round that could fit in a CZ550, and it was designed for taking elephants. This one, a very traditional looking safari round, great wood grain on here, fine checker, fleur-de-lis, like this is a pretty elaborate checkering pattern here on the wrist, continues up on the forend, but lets you know this isn't your typical safari rifle with this large, angry, aggressive looking muzzle brake that will hopefully help with that 600 Overkill. 600 Overkill is extremely powerful cartridge. We just talked about 600 Nitro Express being about 8,000 foot-pounds of energy. 600 Overkill takes 1,000 grain round and puts it at about 13,000 foot-pounds of energy. So substantially more than 600 Nitro Express, one of the most powerful sporting cartridges in the world. 600 Overkill is coming out of a bolt gun to be able to do the same. So fantastic entry-level way to get into a very powerful cartridge capable of taking any type of game on Earth. Again, designed for elephants, but obviously capable of taking any of the Dangerous 5 and anything else that the user so chooses. Last, we have come to the big dog of the video, a 700 JDJ. If you think this looks a lot like Fat Mac, the 950 JDJ, you are again not far off. It is the, again, happy marriage between MMCI, the manufacturer, and rounds by Mr. JD Jones. The 700 JDJ, in fact, it looks a little bit like a baby 950 JDJ. Developed in 1995 by Mr. JD Jones, again, like our 14.5 JDJ. Both are using a 50 BMG cartridge as sort of a parent cartridge and necking them up to accept these rounds. These are some of the brass and rounds that came with the gun, and they come with either brass solids or with some soft points for game. Also for game, I love the fact that this has sling swivels on it. It's almost comical just given the weight of the gun. I'm not sure what one would use as a sling on this, maybe a tow strap for vehicles. Absolutely massive gun. Again, this big, huge fluted bolt, ambitiously perhaps, no muzzle brake on the end to tame the recoil of the 700 JDJ. Now, I wish I could put this in context for you as to how powerful, the 700 is compared to the 950 or the 14.5. I don't have the ballistic information. What we do know is that it's firing 1,000 grain solids. So again, very similar to the 1173 grain of the 14.5, 1,000 grain solids. The diameter is notably different on these two. And if we take just sort of the average, which I know is not the way you calculate foot-pounds, but if you take the 19,000 foot-pounds force of the 14.5, and the over 38,000 foot-pounds of force of the 950 JDJ, and you put them, kind of average it into the 700 JDJ, you're looking at roughly 28,000 foot-pounds of force. So absolutely saved for last for a reason. It's the most powerful gun out of the four. It's the largest diameter cartridge out of the four. It is one of many big bore guns in this February 21st through 23rd Sporting Collector Firearms Auction, and many smaller big powerful cartridges as well. You need Barrett's, you need 338 Lapua, you need 50 BMG. And that goes back, those are just the modern ones. If you want to go back, there's even a flintlock, man stopper pistols as well. So runs the gamut if you're looking for a little more oomph in your collection. Again, the auction is nearly 4,100 guns. So after you're done subscribing here, head over to the website, place your bids, call your favorite shoulder surgeon. Until next time, keep your powder dry.